Hi there, it's the SUI Wyckoff session again. So we'll quickly look at the recent price drop, whether there's any indication that SUI is still going towards the upside, or is it losing steam and starts going towards the lower resistance levels. Let's quickly take a look. So here what we are seeing is the two consecutive weeks of red candles. We're still in the middle of the week, so it's too early to say it's definitely going to end red. By looking at the volume, it seems like it's going to be something similar to what we had over the past 3 weeks, because we're only midway through the week and the volume bar is about 50% of what we have last week. As of this moment, the price is still above both the green key level, $3.27, and this upward trend support line. So this dashed yellow line is the like the slope if you look at the low points in these two signs of weaknesses. However, one thing to note is that even though people may say we have higher highs, we don't know the third point yet because it hasn't finished, and it may take till end of September before we know where the actual low point of this little peak is. But one thing is this one. So if it is a straight line, then this LPSY would be somewhere challenging the purple, but it isn't. It seems like it's a bit dying down in terms of the momentum. So we have to be very careful whether this is like near the end of this cycles of rebounds. So we've got one rebound, two, and then the third one. So from February to mid-May until mid-July, so we've got 3 rounds already, and now we're coming down. And last time from the first leg up around here, right after the sign of weakness, to the end of the drop, it's around 70 days, so about 2.5 minutes time. This time, from this leg up to where we are, we're 56 days in. So if we take the same amount of time similar to last little mountain over here, there are still 2 weeks to go if it really exactly lies in the same timeline. If we go to the daily, this box, previously we talked about whether it's going to show us a downward trend. It did not go in that within that particular box, but it really showed a downward trend. It's just shifted towards like 2 days later. So initially last session when we put in this box, we asked a question: is it in the daily time frame, is it heading towards an upthrust of the distribution, or is it starting a downtrend and heading towards a sign of weakness? And it is kind of confirmed now that it has headed towards a sign of weakness. If we look at the volume, the red volume is quite high, to be honest, compared to the green bars we have. And now, since it's getting towards the green key level, if it finds support and eventually break outside of this downward trend, then it may be a relieving sign for the bulls, and that means there's still a chance for an upthrust of the distribution in the daily chart. However, if it doesn't, meaning if it continues the downtrend, then it will come to the test of this dashed line we talked about in the weekly chart, and that will be something very critical, because the yellow line, dashed line over here, is somewhere near the accumulation cycle back in June, late June to July. So if it really comes down here and breaks below the dashed line, it won't be something surprising because we already put in this question last week. So we're just giving it time for the bulls and bears to fight the battle and for the chart to reveal itself eventually. Two triangles you'll notice. First is this one. Second is this one. The first one will be within 2 days time, basically 2-3 days time. The price has to decide whether it's going to get outside of this downward trend box, or is it going to fall below to test the yellow dash line like I just said. And if it really follows the downtrend, this triangle over here is also having this cross over here before the ending of this month. So there are two critical timing. One is in 2 to 3 days time, one is near the end of the month. There will be two critical moments for the bulls and bears to fight whether to stay above the green key level as well as whether to stay above the yellow dashed level. So this will be an interesting week definitely for SUI coin, because if in the weekly, like we said, like two scenarios, two options. One, it comes down to test the yellow dash line and then eventually bounce up, even though I already mentioned this seems to be waning, and if it is really following that trend, one possible scenario is if it rebound either through the green key level or the yellow dash level, it may develop a little peak just lower than the one we have in mid-July. So it'll be interesting to see whether it's really that case. And just to keep this over here, because I want to show the lines in the daily chart. So if we go to the daily chart, it means it's going to come down to test your yellow dash line and then eventually come up, but this is a lower LPSY instead of a UTAD. So I'll put in tag over here. If it really happens that way, then we'll have this confirmed, and of course after LPSY there will be further tests down to the key levels. So as of now, SUI, maybe it's going through some horizontal trading. If we go to here, it's clearer between the green key level 3.27 to 3.9. So this week, next week may still be the same, but remember in the daily, if you're trading more frequently, remember these two key time frames just in a few days as well as by end of this month. This will be very critical. Even if you hope the price to go upwards, it depends on whether it's breaking out like later this week or by end of the month. If it doesn't, then the chance is getting slimmer for this scenario to happen, especially if it breaks below the green key level. That will be getting closer and closer to the accumulation, at least for the daily time frame. For the weekly, if it has to go to the accumulation similar to well, not exactly summer last year, because that's a very low point. If the project has already developed with a lot more adoption, it may end up higher for the accumulation cycle. So it may be somewhere around the white line, so somewhere between the orange 1.5 and 2.35. So that's the